This is part 2 of Colosi's 13 Laws of Business Success. Hi, my name is Greg Colosi. I'm 69 years young. I started 33 businesses in my lifetime that I stopped counting, and most of them did not make it. I don't like to say the word failure. Most of them just didn't make it, and believe it or not, I learned the most from my so-called failures than I did from my successes. Okay, so this is part 2 of part 3. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'd stop, go watch part 1. Okay, or if not, keep watching this. We're on law number 5, and that is be candid with everyone. Be frank. Be upfront. Be forthright. No games. No hidden agendas. No sugarcoating. Okay. I got to tell you a story about this a friend of mine that I actually ended up consulting with. Well, he became a friend after that. Tom. Tom ran a generator company, and he also sold water purifiers. And no leads were coming in. When I walked in his office, he had a phone book. Remember those? This was back in the 90s, early 90s, I think. He had a phone book on his desk, and he'd close his eyes, and he'd point to a name in the phone book, and he'd call them up and see if he could get a lead from them to go in and pitch them on a generator or a water system, water purification system. I said, wow. He never stopped. If the leads weren't coming in, he would dig up the leads himself, okay? And he was a very forward person. And after we spent time together and talked to him about his business, and I go right for the jugular when I talk about that stuff. He said to me afterwards, he says, I thought I was direct and forward. You knocked the socks off of me, and I didn't realize that I was. But I don't do it in a mean way. I do it in that I want something handled, okay? I want something handled, and I'm candid with everybody. So you be candid. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't beat around the bush. Say what you mean and move forward. You don't have time, especially at this point in our life. We don't have time, okay? Law number 6, don't manage, lead. Leadership is visible. Lead by example. It's not do as I say, not as I do. You've got to do it. Okay? I remember one of my companies, Digicom, I ended up with a sales force of 60 straight commission sales reps. So I paid them nothing until they made a sale, not a nickel. And we were having a sales contest. And one of them said, Greg, why don't you get out there? And I said, okay. I mean, you guys are out there. You got leads. I got no leads right now. And I know I might have an advantage because I'm running the deal. But I got right in it for like a 2-week contest. I got down in the trench with my salespeople. Guess who won the contest? You're right, me. I had to, okay? I couldn't let anybody beat me. I'm the guy that's running the company. I'm the one that's telling them how to sell, okay? So I had to win. I had lots of pressure, but I had to make it happen. I dropped almost everything for 2 weeks and just focused on selling. So you got to lead by example, okay? Lead by example. None of this do as I say, not as I do. People follow behavior and not job titles. And guess what happened to sales after that? It went nuts, okay? Law number 7, change before you have to. This is a big one. My wife says that I don't like change. She says all guys don't like change. Maybe that's the case. If you're waiting until you're desperate, it's already way too late. Give you an example. I'm in the dry cleaning consulting business also. I had a dry cleaner, pick up and delivery only, and I figured out how to get customers. So I more or less rent out my intellectual property on how to get route customers by territories, okay? And I have a client, he sold his business, Patrick Collins in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pat was going to go out of business, and I suggested that he raise his prices. He had to. He had no choice. He wanted to raise it 10%. I said, no, let's go for 20%. And he did. And I convinced him through a series of, what percentage of customers you think are going to leave you? And he said, maybe 10%. I said, well, if you raise your prices based on the profit you're making now by 20%, 50% of your customers can leave you and you'll still make the same amount of money. Do you think 50% are going to leave you? I don't think so, okay? I don't think 50% are going to leave you. So he did it, and guess what? Just sold his business for millions. All because of that. He changed before he had to, but he was in a desperate position, okay? In downturns, buckle down and push harder. You should be advertising more in a downturn. Be willing to bet on systems, trainings, and infrastructure. Training. Standard operating procedures, okay, SOPs. You don't get a bonus points for hanging on too long either, okay? I mean, you don't, okay? Don't hang on. If it's not going to happen, move on and change, okay, to make it happen. Law number 8. If you don't have a competitive advantage, you do not compete. Hope is not a strategy. Hope I'm going to get business is not a strategy. Praying will help, but not going to get you all of it, okay? You got to know how to get customers. That is the most important thing that you must do. You can make a lot of mistakes if you got a lot of customers. If you got all the money coming in, you can fix the rest. Communicate consistently with your customer base and your prospects. Weekly, maybe twice a week, with newsletters, emails, text messages, so important. And don't think you're bugging them. You give them an opportunity to opt out. And if they're sick of you, they'll opt out. But don't you opt them out by not giving them enough information, okay? Quality is always assumed with a company, so you got to be a decent quality. Smiles, pleases, thank yous, and courtesy still matters. Matters big time. Big smile on your face. How do you hire people? How do you teach people how to smile? You don't. You hire people that already smile. You hire smiling people. One of the biggest things that I look for in an interview is people that smile, because it comes across on the phone. Of course, it comes across in person. It comes across everywhere. If they do not smile naturally, it's not going to happen. Okay? Let's see. If you are not different than everybody else, you are indivisible. You are invisible, You are invisible to them. You got to be different. You got to stand out. Number 9, a big one. And you know this about life if you're in your 60s or more, and that is control your own destiny or someone else will. Control your own destiny or someone else will. If you don't take control, somebody's plan is your plan now. Your competitors will take over. The economy will take over. Your customers will take over. Ownership means responsibility for everything. You don't make excuses. You handle it. You don't say, well, bah, 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 bah. No, the buck really stops with you, okay? Really stops with you. You make no excuses. I do not make excuses in my life. I take it really far. And that is if I'm stopped at a red light, the light turns green. I still look both ways because somebody might be coming through at the last minute. Okay? And I feel that if I go, it's my fault if he hits me. Maybe not insurance-wise, but that's how I feel upstairs. You should always be ready. Okay? So, that is the first 9. We're going to do the last 4 in part 3 of Colosi's Laws of Business Success. If you haven't seen part 1, watch it again, and part 3's coming. Bye-bye.